So I think it is time to get started. So welcome everybody. Everybody give yourself a pat on the back for being here this morning. I would like to welcome you to our first session. And I think it is an awesome follow-up to our plenary session. Today we have Clare Ann and Janna from MAPS Media Institute, and they are a Montana-based education nonprofit. What a better way to follow up than with a community partner. So I will hand it over to Janna, and she will tell you a little bit about herself. And right before she started, all questions, please put them in the chat, and we will have a Q&A at the end, and Clare Ann and Janna will answer all of your questions. Take it away.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Sheila. All right. Well, welcome everyone. We are so happy to have you join us today. We're really excited to talk to you about MAPS, about what we do, STEM, STEAM, all of the above, and hopefully give you some ideas, raise some questions, and get some great dialogue going. So you are in a presentation called If You Build It. Yes, Field of Dreams here. The result of creating free professional media arts access for youth in Montana. With that, I am actually going to very quickly, I'm Janna Williams, I'm our Communications and Marketing Director. So I am going to pass the mic over to our Executive Director, Clare Ann Harff, who is going to lead you through some more information, and we're going to share with you over the next hour. Clare Ann.
All right, Janna, thank you as always. Most of you out there probably have a wing person or wing man or wing woman. That's Janna for me and me for her. So Jay, thank you for helping get here. To the awesome committee who put this conference together, really honored to be part of this. Jason, who's helping us with IT, and Sheila, lovely to connect with you this morning too. Most importantly, thank y'all for sharing your time. It's a precious commodity, and really value the attention you're going to give us for the next 45 minutes to an hour. So first of all, again, my name is Clare Ann Harff. I've been with MAPS for 10 years. And just to set the context for y'all, we're zooming in from Hamilton, Montana, which is the southwestern part of the state. Janna zooming in from Helena, which is more central. It's also our capital. And we have programs, while we started in Hamilton where I'm at, we've built our programs to serve communities statewide. We have 2 brick and mortars, that's where I'm at and where Janna's at. We have a seasonal program about an hour, 2 hours north of Hamilton. And then we have a road show, and that's what the focus of this Zoom's going to be about today, is the success of that program and how to bridge our programming with other rural and primarily First Nation communities. So that's going to be the crux of what we're going to be talking about. We do have a few videos queued up to share with you, so it won't just be talking heads. And like Sheila mentioned, any questions, clarifications, please feel free to put that in the chat. And then Janna will also include our emails and website in the chat as well. So before our first video, I'd just like to explain that MAPS is all capital letters, MAPS, and that stands for Media Arts in the Public Schools. That was our original name when we launched in 2004. We originally started working with a small school in the valley we serve, the Bitterroot Valley. We're a 90-mile long valley, and we have 5 different school districts. So we needed to find a partner who would welcome, at that time, a brand new community-based org. And it took us a while to get there. We ended up getting a 4B licensure through the state in order to be able to work with the school. And that's a key in MAPS history, because that gave us the credentials to be able to work within the school districts down here. And that proved to be a beautiful door opening. So in 2004, we launched with Corvallis School District, and we just taught a film class. The gentleman who started MAPS, he was a retired Hollywood producer, and he was also a busybody. And if he didn't start MAPS, he likely maybe would have got a divorce because he was driving his wife and family crazy by being retired. And so Peter Roston was his name. He took his skill set, his professional skill set, and wanted to give back to the students in this rural area in the Bitterroot Valley. Because at that time in 2004, schools really didn't have computer, or down here at least, didn't really have computer labs or web programs, or let alone recording studios or film studios. So while we've seen that growth eventually and thankfully develop over the last 20 years, back then, where we're at, if students, high school students, didn't have sports, 4-H, sometimes church activities, they weren't doing much of anything. So MAPS really filled this gap on an opportunity for students, not only to have a safe place to go, but also a creative outlet, and then also a relevant outlet as far as the tech and the skills we were bringing in with our curated programming. So that context of where we're at, the limitations of what our arts programming had, just the lack of opportunities that our kids had, we really filled a gap at that time. When we talk about STEAM, and not all the states here still, use that A in there. And of course, we all understand the value of creativity in anything and everything, and most especially within the STEM categories. But when we look at our organizational values, education is our first one, right? And basically, in a nutshell, we put professional equipment and professional artists into the worlds of teenage youth, right? Grades 8 through 12. And in that, in those STEAM and STEM-based projects, programs, curriculums, we integrate a lead teacher who matches and makes sure we're aligned with state and national media art standards, and then also with core subjects with our state. So computer science, math, English, etc. So we kind of call it hiding the peas underneath like the carrot cake or carrot or cake. These kids are getting a very well-rounded, intentional education, but from their perspective, they're getting to like make movies, right? Make websites, create hip hop videos, etc. So with that, Janna, I see you're telling me, we're gonna share a highlight reel from last year. It's about 5 minutes, and this just showcases the accomplishments that our kids made last year. So enjoy. I'm gonna mute, and Janna, take it away.
All right, make sure I have everything checked here. I do. The way, and then
camera rolling. Rolling. Sound speeds. 2022 highlights, take 23, and action.
Welcome to the 2022 highlight reel for MAPS Media Institute.
We're MAPS students, aka Mapsters. We invite you to sit back and relax while we review the past 365 days of MAPS in under 4 minutes, maybe 5.
And here we go.
2022 started with business as usual. Actual classes ran 4 days a week at both MAPS Rivali and Lewis and Clark programs.
Students learned about film, graphic design, music production, and new technologies. Projects even included a promo video for the Circle 13 skate park, where students practiced their new drone skills.
In February, MAPS welcomed cultural educator and film consultant Craig Falcon as the new director of the MAPS Media Lab, and he's been busy ever since. The MAPS Media Lab is our statewide educational outreach program in which we bring MAPS to students all over Vermont.
Marched into April by facilitating a 6-week after-school program for the students on the Flathead Indian Reservation. Led by acclaimed artists Shadow Devereaux and Coulter Olmsted, students created an original hip-hop song and music video.
In April, MAPS headed to the Fort Peck Indian community in northeastern Montana. In partnership with the Montana Indian Athletic Hall of Fame, MAPS facilitated the Art of the Interview workshop with Poplar High School students. This crash course in filmmaking resulted in historical interviews of incredible state and national Native athletes.
Next, the MAPS team drove west across Montana's High Line and landed in Browning on the Blackfeet Nation. Students to produce a video on the importance of preserving the Blackfeet language, both spoken.
While the MAPS media team was working across the state, the Rivali and Lewis and Clark teams launched a 6-week summer program that ran June through July. Students made stop-motion films, created new songs, produced music videos, and so much more. It makes me dizzy to even think about it. Summer was filled with non-stop action.
June also brought the MAPS Media Lab team back to Fort Belknap for a workshop hosted at Aani Nakota College. After meeting virtually for several months, students participated in a 1-week film workshop about Students interviewed tribal and cultural leaders, elders, parents, and one another to help shine an informative light on this subject.
The MAPS team returned to Browning in August when the Blackfeet Community College welcomed MAPS for an intro to film workshop. Squeezed in between powwow and rodeo seasons, students learned filmmaking basics and also took a deep dive into the Blackfeet archives.
In addition to all of these summer projects, MAPS students across the state collaborated on a video project for Montana Women Vote to document the origin. Putting skills to work to make our state better.
In the blink of an eye, September rolled around again. School for 32 weeks. Students in Rivali and Lewis and Clark counties helped celebrate MAP's 18th year of providing free media arts classes for 8th to 12th graders. And before we wrap up this reel, MAPS congratulates all of the student filmmakers who received nominations and wins in the Red Nation Film Festival and the Regional and National High School Student Production Awards. In all, MAPS racked in 22 nominations and 15 winners. Drop the mic.
Phew!
Whoa.
Wow.
What a year it's been.
All made possible by the dedication, skill, and trust of so many people.
So many, in fact, that the list is too long for us to read, and it'll be included at the end of this video.
However you contributed, on behalf of the entire MAPS crew, past, present, and yet to come, thank you for helping make MAPS 18th year extraordinary.
And 2023?
Look out!
All in all, MAPS racked in 22 nominations and 15 winners. Drop the mic. That's so that looked so
No, that was good, dude. That's perfect. That's clear real quick.
And we've lost the cameraman.
Everything's gone. All of it.
Post-apocalyptic, nothing is left.
Everything is gone.
Where all of this stuff used to be, there is now nothing.
Where everything once was, there's now nothing.
All right. Let's see. Janna, can you hear me?
Yes, totally can. I hope that you guys were able to see that video. I optimized it for play. So here's hoping that you were able to see that. But yeah, that's our MAPS video. Go ahead, CA, next on to you.
All right. And if there are tech hiccups for anybody, I mean, we all try. It is still a Zoom world. Everything is available on our website, mapsmediainstitute.com. Janna will put that in the chat as well. She's also wrangling that as questions or comments that y'all have. So piggybacking on that, and hopefully you're able to hear, again, we have 2 brick and mortar programs in the state, both in rural and in the capital. We have a seasonal program on one of our Native communities in Flathead Indian Reservation, north of Missoula. And then we do this road show all over the state. And that's a project base. So we have brick and mortar, a seasonal program, and then we do projects where we bring MAPS to kids. So Jim's going to share a map on screen, and this is going to just give you a visual. And this is what didn't exist 20 years ago when we were like, how the heck are we going to do this? And what are ideas and how we could do this? Because at the crux of what we're doing, it's absolutely dependable on really healthy, intentional, and continually cultivated partnerships. And I don't say that word lightly. That comes from at a student to a family, to a CBO, to nonprofit, to school districts, agencies, state, federal, tribal agencies, etc. So we just get it as much as we can and get to as many people and organizations as we can. So Janna, if you'll click on Ravalli, and that's where I'm coming at you from. That's where our first program started, 2004. We're a primarily after school and summer program. We teach filmmaking, graphic design, music production, new technologies like app building, robots, there's 3D printing. We also teach podcasting, photojournalism, etc. From there, Janna's going to click on Missoula County. Some folks might know that area. All of Montana is beautiful, let's face it, but Missoula is a bit of a cultural hub for our state. We've worked with numerous CBOs in the past, community-based orgs and nonprofits in the past 20 years up there, ranging from University of Montana, different school partners up there, Council on Aging, etc. From there, and this opportunity is what brought us and showcased us to receive invitations to work with youth in First Nation communities. The Lake County is where the Flathead Reservation is located. And in 2014, so this is 10 years into developing an after school and summer program, we partnered with Montana Gear Up, which is it's a federal program, but has state programs, and their focus, their mission is to identify communities statewide that need assistance with graduation rates, attendance in school, etc. And we partnered with them for a 5-year contract that brought our programming to youth in that county, in Lake County, Flathead Indian Reservation. That work, we just did 1-week workshops, film workshops, and most of them were narrative, right? So in 5 days, we'd work with 20 kids, go from an idea to a community screening. It's insane, but if you have the right team, you can make it happen. And those kids produce such incredible videos, and we always had a person like Janna on our team to disseminate, share, get any student work out there, quality student work out there, finished. And we just started getting people's attention, and that attention led into invites. And hey, would MAPS be willing to? Hey, does MAPS have the capacity to? And the first one we were invited to was up on the Blackfeet Nation, and that is the Blackfeet tribe. Janna, would you move to that one? And we started working with youth through the school and through Gear Up still as well. So again, those partnerships were multi-level layered. And we brought those intensive filmmaking workshops there. 3 of those films garnered regional production awards from the Academy that produces the Emmys. That's a really big deal for students from Montana who don't even have film programs being able to create award-winning films. A few of the films also went on to be nominated for national production awards. It's never happened for anybody, any student from Montana. And one of our films that we produced with students in Browning won that national award. It's the biggest award in the country for student filmmakers. Those accolades, even though they're not what we're driving for, again, just helped expand MAPS's circle and window and interest. From Browning, we were invited over to Thompson Falls. Can you hit that one, Janna? On the western edge of the state. We did another workshop again that generated a regional award-winning narrative film. From there, we went to Fort Belknap over in Harlem. And again, we're just on the road. We've got a Tundra production truck, and we just pack it up and go. We're still we're still pretty, scrabbled together sometimes, but we make it happen. Harlem is where we're really going to focus for the rest of our conversation. So we're going to come back to that. That's Fort Belknap Reservation. From there, in 2017, we were invited to work with youth in Helena. And those projects are what became our brick and mortar. It took us 2 years, and then that thing that happened in 2020 started right after we opened our second brick and mortar, but we're still going strong over there. But again, showing how just by delivering quality project-based workshops to youth, really delivering, other nonprofits, community organizations invited us to work with them. And then we were able to develop a full after school, out of school time program there. It started in 2019. From Helena, we went all the way over to Fort Peck. You ready to take us over there, Janna? That started as, again, 1 week workshops. Again, that generated regional film production awards. And then that opportunity also welcomed us to partner with Fort Peck Community College. And we actually brought our programming during the school day to 3 districts out there. It was virtual. It was during 2020, 21, and then 1 month of in-person. Again, that was an extraordinary opportunity for us. And we learned a lot on that one, and we continue to work with youth in that community. And then one last one would be Rocky Boy, Janna. Oh, and Great Falls too. These are projects we did just last summer in those communities. So in addition to the schools and other CBOs, nonprofits that we work with, just to spell out our trajectory and how we work with partnership. If we're going to go top bottom, not my favorite way to go but to make sense for folks out there. Federal support, right? Sometimes hard to get, but boy, it means a lot if you can get it. And we've partnered with the U.S. Department of Education through a 21st Century grant administered through our state Office of Public Instruction since 2014. That is still our anchor for both the Valley program and the Helena program, where Janna is. We've also partnered with the National Endowment for the Arts many times. We also received a large award from them in 2017, which recognized MAPS as one of the 12 leaders across the nation in creative youth development. That was another big accolade that welcomed us into other communities we hadn't been able to work with their youth yet. So that's at a state level. Also, Montana, a lot different than those larger population states. We're very welcomed at the governor's office, and that has bridged 4 governors now on both sides of the aisle, very supportive of our organization. We have regular communications with our delegation, 2 senators, 1 rep, and we now have another rep at a federal level. That's been key. While we don't get to meet with them often, their support, a letter showing up at an open house, enormous, speaks volumes on many different communities, right? Next up would be a state level. That'd be the Office of Public Instruction, one of our longest supporters. Montana Arts Council, again, they were the first org that ever gave us money, $5 grand in 2005. I still thank them every time I see them. They're like, we get it, we're over it. It's 19 years ago. Indian Ed for All, which is a shining part of OPI and the Tribal Resiliency Unit, and the investment our state has made into working with youth in tribal communities. They are key to any of the work we do and are invited to do with youth in First Nation tribal communities. We also have a film office that we're great friends with, Department of Tourism, right? Like Janna and I just make sure we meet with them once, twice a year. So we just keep our name in conversation. At the heart of our programming, including the brick and mortar and the project-based, are our relationships with the school districts. I meet with superintendents, principals at least once a year. School office managers, you bet we're going in and saying hi and maybe bringing coffee because they're the queen pins of working with schools, right? A lot of networking. Obviously, community-based orgs and other nonprofits are just as important with all of them. And then specifically with tribal nations, and this is something we continue to learn, every rural community has their unique needs, and tribal nations as sovereign nations have their own ways and their own protocols. And MAPS, after working within these communities for 10 years, we've really worked and developed and continue to evolve that guidelines and working with them. And that starts with tribal council. Doesn't matter if we get invited by a school, we need to go there first. From there, it's cultural committees or cultural councils. From there, it's education, communication, and then we go to schools. So that partnership and that kind of tiered, that is a lot of what Janna and I do all the time. So Janna, we're going to run another video, right? And we're going to showcase some of the partners we've worked with over the years. You're going to see just snippets of productions that we've created with our students for national orgs like No Kid Hungry, state organizations like Special Olympics Montana, Council on Aging, promotional video our students produce for the University of Montana, and a video we just created last year from Montana Women Vote, which
Right now, what you're seeing is the Darby No Kids Hungry, where Steve Bullock and actually Jeff Bridges were able to come and be part of that program, and talk about how when kids have full stomachs during the day, they're able to succeed in school. They have better test scores. It's science. It's proven. Next, we look at the Special Olympics of Montana. Sia, if you want to talk about that relationship a little bit.
Yeah, you bet. Janna, sorry, I screwed up our show flow
Okay.
here. Thanks everybody for your patience. Yeah, our students went up to our local ski hill down here in the Bitterroot. It's called Lost Trail Mountain. And they interviewed athletes and the CEO and volunteers, and Special Olympics Montana continues to use this video not only at a state level, but a national level for bringing attention not only to the Bitterroot Special Olympics, but Special Olympics statewide. So that was a big one for our students to be able to participate in. And actually some of the students have their siblings as athletes as well. So that was a very successful on many levels. Council on Aging right here in Ravalli, our students created a video on Meals on Wheels. We interviewed elders and farmers and the chefs at Council on Aging, and that nonprofit used this video to raise money, which actually helped develop a small community here. They built 10 houses, and they continue to thank us because this video was an anchor of that capital campaign for them on showing the importance of Meals on Wheels and joining together to make sure everybody's fed. So we're gonna let that play out. Spectrum, longtime
Spectrum.
yeah, and my guess is somebody on the Zoom is from there. They bring STEAM programming to students all across Western Montana. They have the powerful engine of the university system behind them and continue to do extraordinary work. We've partnered with them for various projects, but this one that we're showing on screen was a promotional video for, boy, I think that was 2020. We created that. So we brought our students up to Missoula, interviewed their educators and some of the students they were working with. And then our last one here, yeah, Montana Women Vote. Montana's a place where one vote makes a difference sometimes, or a handful of votes can make a difference sometimes. And we partnered with that nonprofit. It was also part of a civic engagement class through Hamilton High School, one of our partners in the Bitterroot, on the importance of registering to vote and getting the vote out. And very happy to report the 5 students who worked on this crew all registered to vote them, within a week of turning 18, which is something we encourage our students to do. But they were able to bring this. Montana Women Vote uses this during election season. And then also it's being distributed in high schools across the state on the importance of registering to vote. Again, Our program model is we use the kids who are in our film class to work on a student crew that's led by professional artists. Those students are often paid a stipend or they receive credit, an internship, senior project. So these kids are putting their skills right to work to better their community at a base level, state level, and national level. And that is a model that we are obviously behind 100+%, because the disenfranchisement of youth is over, in our opinion. These kids are making a difference, and we're making sure they have the skills, the support, and anything they need to be able to do that. So Janna, turn it over to you for a minute.
Great. So, oh, am I muted? No, good. That's number one. I wasn't muted. Haha. So one of the things that we were hoping to have was one of our students that we work with quite frequently, actually. Her name is Amelia Blackcrow. She has been a director on multiple films for MAPS, a student director, and just is a powerhouse of a young person that was given a camera and just ran with it. And that's exactly what we love to see. We love to see the engagement, but when students really get a passion for and an understanding for the science behind it, the engineering behind it, the technology behind it, it's really great. Well, school came first. So school conflict, as we know, in our realm, school is 100% most important. School, family, mental health, and then our programs, not necessarily in that order. And so we weren't able to have her on the call, but we do want to take a look at the Harlem programs, like Clare was mentioning earlier. We were going to circle back to the Fort Belknap Indian community and really look at that. So now I am going to pass everything back over to Clare.
Awesome. Janna, thank you. So again, we're going up to north central Montana, middle of nowhere. Fort Belknap Indian community. And this relationship actually started in 2016. So MAPS at this point was 12 years old. And it started with Montana Office of Public Instruction. I don't know how many programs out there in Zoom land are 21st Century Community Learning Centers. That's the federal grant for out of school time. And like I mentioned earlier, the acronym is 21 CCLC, 21st Century. That's been the anchor of MAPS. That has permitted a stability that then welcomed expansion and smart, scalable expansion, right? Not biting off more than we can chew, or at least trying not to. In Fort Belknap, Harlem is a community, and Harlem High School was a 21st century site as well. We were introduced through Office of Public Instruction in 2016, and MAPS was hired by OPI to working with our students to create a promotional video for after school programs across Montana. They wanted to highlight 21st centuries. And Harlem had its extraordinary F1 program. And we had ours, and we highlighted another program, and that's how we met Harlem. And there's an amazing teacher out there. If we have any Montanans in the Zoom, Craig Todd, who is retired, but should have been teacher of the year for every year for the past 20 years. He just picked up the phone, called me and said, how do we get you up here? How do we get MAPS up here? How do we get cameras into these students' hands? There's so many stories to tell. And we started with capacity building workshops. And Janna, do you want to cue up Harlem Rap right now? It's just a minute and a half.
I've got it. Ready to go.
This 1 minute, 20-second video was created in a 3-day workshop, 2017. They had the student who's a hip hop artist had already written the song, but the students recorded it and created the video. It went on to be screened at regional film festivals and won in a regional student Emmy. It's called Harlem Rap. Got volume, Janna? Not hearing it.
There we go.
Acapella, that'll shock a fella, make him think I'm trying to sell a drug, that'll make you wanna yell. A racial slur at a mannequin when people ask what's happening. I spit at rap and then I laugh at him. Split my tummy cause it's just so funny how you wanna hear these rhymes coming from me. Sometimes I can't control the ink, I can't control the thoughts. I think it must be the pop I drink. If the stronger chain can pop the lick, then I think I'm on the brink. I don't even let it drop before I overanalyze the paper and I hurt my eyes. My equals the size of any other guys. I'm self-conscious. The thought of you judging me makes me feel nauseous, but I flip it like an on and off switch. If you don't believe me, watch this. God, I'm cocky. No one can stop me from getting to the top. You one of the greats, make artists memorize the hues to use to illustrate my face. I see you trying to imitate the way I dedicate a predicate to educate the delicate. When I said I hate the delegates, I meant it way, but hold the weight as a cultivate your gender brain and devastate your mental state. I can sell your mind like real estate. They think your life is real or fake. Listen to what I say. Put a smile on your face, cause a day full of sadness such a waste. Don't make me resuscitate your state of mind.
Yeah. Oh, those students presented at a regional, it's actually a nationally celebrated documentary film festival up in Missoula. They had the 400 people in the room at the premiere of that come to their feet and give them a well-deserved round of applause. That's like a highlight for me. It's hard to even remember that without tearing up. So that was Harlem Rap. That was our first, after this, just kind of sketching out, connecting these dots of our relationship with the Fort Belknap community. Started with 21st Century, this Montana after school video. Not even 6 months later, we did a capacity building workshop for educators as well as students. That Harlem Rap was a result of that. Then 6 months later, we did a 1-week workshop like we did and modeled with those Montana Gear Up workshops. That was our original reach into First Nation communities. And that's when we started working with Amelia, the young woman who wasn't able to be on the Zoom with us today. We all know those students who, when you do one thing, it's not just a light bulb, it's like a firework. She is a filmmaker. She will go on to be in film and media, and she's going to be a leader. She already is. But without MAPS, she never would have had this opportunity. And not to say that now all, the school is helping with that, the community college up there is helping with it. But at this time, it was just this workshop. It was her lead in, it was her walk in to learning about media arts and the power that it can have. So the first 1-week workshop we did with these students and led by Amelia, and we're talking about 15, 17 students here. So 1-week workshop, we did a couple virtual meetings with them first just to get everything organized, pre-production. And they created a film called Looking Forward for Yesterday. And Janna, tell me what's going to happen. Are we going to watch the whole thing or just a snippet?
We're going to watch the whole thing on this one, and then we'll watch a snippet of the next one.
Okay, great. So the film speaks for itself. I'd like you to keep in mind, 1 week, these students, from shooting to editing. We had a community screening with over 120 people at the culmination of that 1-week workshop. This film went on to win a regional student production award, Pacific Northwest Student Award, and screened in multiple regional film festivals as well. Janna, turn it to you.
You can't compare what it was like when I grew up. I grew up at the agency. There were maybe 5 families living there. There were no homes, there were no houses. All of it was just country. There was more family interaction. Families stayed together, they helped one another. There was so few of us. Every single family on this reservation is a good family. They're strong. They survived the Holocaust. Every family has that strength within that family, and we need to recognize that and empower that. This whole problem started from the boarding school. And it's filtered down to now where in our community, it's the best kept secret. We don't We don't talk about it, we don't deal with it, we don't teach about it. But it's the biggest problem that we have. And then underneath it are all those other problems, you know, drugs, alcohol, suicide, all these other things. To me, they're under that umbrella of sexual abuse.
Something has to be done. Here in the school, but in the homes as well. People aren't taking the time to learn about culture. We examined that word culture in all its components. Because for us here, Fort Belknap, you say Indian culture, right away they think powwow, they think sweat lodge, Sundance, and that's it. But culture is so much more. It's like all these little components that make up that word culture. The way we dress, our dwellings, you know, our traditional dwellings, our traditional food, music, dance.
And I don't know if it would solve them, but one way it would be to get our younger people interested in our cultures, our ceremonies, the ways that we used to have a long time ago.
I'm working on a piece of quill work. It's an earring. Only one side's done. All these little things are little quills from porcupines. Yeah, not many people around here know how to do it anymore. The thing that they basically do is most the time is beading, and there's only a couple people that know how to do quill work or even tack quill work.
Can you tell me about your dresses that you made?
Yeah, me and my mom made them. We just make them right at home. And we have 2 sewing machines, and we like take turns just sewing and have to sketch them out before everything.
This is buffalo hide. What we're doing is we're scraping the hair off so we can prepare it for like a drum. Well, when we're done scraping it, we take it off this rack so we could lace it onto a drum.
One of the components of culture is games. And with stick games, most of the tribes have their own way of playing stick game. And so then we learn about the Cheyenne style of stick game, Crow style of stick game, Flathead style, Blackfeet style, Ahani style, to all these different tribes and their ways of playing stick game. It helps us to further understand our own way of playing stick game, and as well as the ceremonial game called hand game here on Fort Belknap. Should students ever want to go and participate in a hand game ceremony or in a stick game tournament, they'll have that understanding.
It's our traditional ceremonial hand game. When they sponsor a hand game, whoever sponsors a hand game is because somebody is usually sick in their family, or like take, for example, if they got some young person going into the service, they put a hand game on for them so that they'll stay out of harm's way and return home. We weren't plagued with drugs. We didn't have TVs. We certainly didn't have cell phones. As a result of that, we went to visit your family, we went to visit somebody else's family. And a lot of our culture was through that, the stories that went with our culture, with our religion. But now, that's the last thing anybody wants to talk about. They want to sit there and watch TV or on a cell phone, even if they got company. At that time, we listened to our elders.
I've struggled for a long time with to what extent we should allow technology within our culture. Our young people know this technology really well. I think it's definitely a way to preserve parts of our culture, but there's a lot of our culture that can't be preserved within technology. One thing that we really work on in this classroom here all year long is relearning how to listen. That listening can become a way of learning for us, as it once was a long time ago.
I went to a boarding school when I was 14 years old for 4 years, and we had 500 students there. And we had all different types. We had Sioux, we had Omaha from Nebraska, Sac and Fox, all different kind of tribes. So there was no one particular language, you know. But yet in all, we all came together as Indians. We didn't come as a Gros-Ventre, we didn't come as a Assiniboine, we didn't come as a Sioux. We came together as a people, Indian people, and that made it strong for us. We don't have that today, that togetherness.
These are our children in this school. We need to be teaching what we're talking about here today. That needs to be a part of what we're doing, is empowering our children to be proud of themselves, to like what they're doing. These problems aren't going to be solved in one generation. You know, if you start now, in 10 years, you'll see the impact of that.
So I just wanted to note, I'll let Clare talk here a little bit about the film, but also I want to talk about the contrast between that film and the next film that we did in the same area. Go ahead, Clare.
You bet. First off, hope you got my digital Kleenex for the end of that film. I just have to give a shout out to those students and our team. The message behind that, the sincerity, not using an overused word, but that has translated into many groups, communities, offices, people, and on a personal note, provided numerous scholarships for those students, whether they wanted to go on to school, work, whether it was 2-year, 4-year film, anything. That to me is that power that I talked about, especially in reference to Amelia and those students. That type of film is evidence of returning, right? MAPS isn't just a one-off. We're not just going up to hope we can help you learn how to do this and then give us a call if you need information on what cameras to buy. It's relationship building. It's that seeing how we could be of service, and then all the other unexpecteds that come from these collaborations. So yeah, I just wanted to give that shout out to, because that film changed a lot of lives, and also opportunities for students in this very small, very remote part of Montana. Janna, just before we go into the next film, where are we at on time? We at 10 minutes?
We are actually, we're right on time. I'm just going to do a quick introduction of Waking the Generations, because I think something that's really special about this film, you're going to see similar people in this film as you saw in the last film, but what ended up happening from looking forward from yesterday to Waking the Generations is you see the student voice come alive. You see the student voice kind of really step into its own. So you can see them interviewing their elders, having authority figures in their community speak, to stepping into the spotlight, asking their own questions and being part of the process themselves. So I think that's something really special to point out differences about these films. So I'm going to go ahead and share screen, and then I'm going to play part of Waking the Generations. And don't forget, all of these films are on our homepage of our website and on our YouTube channel. So feel free to to watch the rest of this film because we will only be able to play part of it.
They took us away. They took us away from our parents and our grandparents as young children. It took us away from our culture and our prayer. They took us to boarding schools and they wouldn't let us speak our language or do anything like that. And they forced a different religion onto us. A lot of kids don't know where they come from or what their culture is because they were never taught it. They used to say, kill the Indian, save the man.
Well, hey, niet ein betootset na ha sihin no, ni na oni nen in non no kine esna no na bin. All you students, it's very important to celebrate who we are as Indian people. We come from strong people. It's in our blood. Remember that. Know your history. Know who you are and know where you come from.
My name is Makbia Jusinawea, and it means little cloud woman, and my name on my birth certificate is Amelia Blackrow. Culture, it means a lot to me because it's who I am. It's our food, the way we dress, the way we sing, the way we dance, the way we style our hair. It's a lifestyle.
Wahenitan ninanina aaninen nanisihit nakatiehi gibiahaho kanahi. I said, hello my relatives, I'm a Aninen. My name is Flying Eagle Boy. My family is, well, we're pretty traditional, you know, but I think we all got a little bit of at least some part of culture to us around here. It's the feeling you get when you're doing it, kind of a sense of pride because you know that your people once did it and we got those ways taken away from us for a while.
So as you can see, there was a big difference between who they brought on to film in the first film that we did with them. And then the students really felt empowered to want to get behind the film and to do the interviews and to speak themselves, which was incredibly powerful. So it looks like we are at our 5-minute warning. Is that correct? Which means we are fully open for Q&A. Man, time flies when you're having fun, right? So questions, what questions do you have for us? And you can just unmic and ask if you want. I have a question for you guys. How are there is there anyone on the call that has seen similar work or has done similar work? It doesn't even have to be with media arts, but going into rural and Native communities in their states or in their areas and having that kind of connection. Oh, Sheila, I think you're muted.
Okay, sorry. First I want to say that had me over here in tears. That was powerful. But my question is, first of all, thank you. Thank you all for doing the work. Like I said, I'm almost speechless. But my question is, what tips can you share with programs who would like to do something like this, but don't know where to get started?
Yeah. Janna, you okay if I take that?
Absolutely.
Yeah. And out of respect with time, again, please feel free to email us, and happy to continue this conversation outside of the limitation of this. It really comes from that part I spoke with, partnerships, on recognizing equal value and equal strength and equal power, whether they're at a very small nonprofit or whether it's a tribal council, right? Or a delegated elected official. Whenever Janna and I or anyone representing our team go in, that attention is given to them, and we go in prepped. We learn about them. We learn about their needs. I think of like a human needs assessment, or R&D, right? We come in prepared with questions. We know what's happened in the community. We're open to learning more. And then the key for us is get to those students as fast as we can and develop those relationships based on kindness, based on humor, based on being prepared to, Jan, I thought I wouldn't swear, but kick ass when we're with them. Sorry to say it.
You're one warning. You're one warning. That's it. I said you can say hey.
I would really say that. And for folks in different, and I know states, we all have our own unique ways of networking, but really the Montana Arts Council for us has a really great database, After School Alliance, Montana OPI. So these larger heavy hitters in the state. And then, of course, was working with tribal nations. If your state is fortunate enough to have what we have at OPI with the Tribal Resiliency Unit led by Donnie Wetzel, it's just they're doing groundbreaking work for everyone. So hope that answers your question. Again, please feel free to email Janna and I.
Awesome. And we have 1 minute, but I got a great question from Devin about the in Illinois. Hi, Illinois. About the equipment that we use. And so we adapt what we use software wise and equipment wise for each program and for each workshop that we run. And that's usually advised by the professionals that we work with. We've been very lucky at MAPS to have good advisors saying this is what we would recommend you get. And then we are able to go to funders and say, here's our recommendations, and we've been really lucky that way to handle that. So where are we on time here?
Janna, if I just may add too, really quick, everybody.
Sure.
Janna, I can't believe I haven't said this. Our programming is totally free to everybody, and it always will be, whether it's a brick and mortar or whether it's a project-based workshop. Students, families don't pay. We figure out how to raise the money either ourselves or with our partners. And then Devin, on a tech question, or any techies out there, we work with everything from iPads to high-end DSLRs. Most of our audio is external, but if we don't have access, we'll run it all through an iPad, depending on what the project is. But we do still shoot 1080, no 4K for this outfit still.
That's a lie. We just shot 4K for our stop motion video. Woo! I think that kind of wraps it up for MAPS. Thank you so much for being in our session, and cannot be excited enough to see so many faces and so much coming from other programs. Keep doing the great work that you're doing, both seen and unseen out there. And we're out here if you need us. Give us a holler. We're always happy to partner, share, and give information.
We're ready to come to another state. So let's make it happen.
Illinois, we're on our way.
Colorado, come to Colorado.
Colorado, done.
Here's my dream. I'm putting it out there. This is how it works. I'd love to get a group of rural Montana kids into a city and then do that switch and create media around this experience. So if anybody's interested, we're your team.
Awesome. Thank you, everyone. Thank you so much for your time.
Keep up the great work.
Very valuable.
Thank you.